Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP hired a contractor to fix a gas fireplace that kept shutting off, only to end up with 4 no-shows and $700 in parts that didn't work. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Should have just given me my refund. I'll try to keep this short. I hired a contractor to come and look at my gas fireplace insert that shuts off on its own after about an hour. They did 4 visits altogether, charged me about $700 for parts and labor, were late for every appointment, and was a no-show, no-call for one also. After the 4th visit and things still not working, they actually broke it worse for a bit. I asked for a refund. I was told the owner would call me on Monday, this was Saturday, to make things right. The owner, in fact, did not even try to make things right. He started telling me personal stories about his times with contractors going bad, but things always worked in the end, so he just dealt with it and paid. I'm like, it's been 3 months, it's not working, and I've paid. I'd like a refund for the parts that didn't fix anything and the labor to put in those parts. I was fine still paying for the initial service of them coming out to clean it out, even though it didn't fix the issue, just trying to be nice. He said no. I started to get a little cranky at this point, asking why I'm paying for parts that didn't fix the issue. He then said he didn't like my attitude and hung up. I called the next day to try again. When I said I shouldn't have to be going through all this crap to get a refund for a service they couldn't provide, hung up on again. I called and left a voicemail saying that if I'd like to speak to someone else if possible, and I'll be leaving them a lovely review on any site I can find them on, as well as the BBB and anyone else who will listen. Still no callback. The following day, after leaving a handful of reviews, I also emailed the local news, who has people that will go after contractors that screw people over. I get a call from them, tell them my story, and they're very interested. He tells me he'll call them and call me back. About an hour later, I get a call saying they'll give me a refund, but I need to remove all reviews I left for the company, and I'm to write them a letter stating they've been removed and I will not repost them after getting my check. Reluctantly, I agree. I need to get the fireplace fixed. I asked the news guy how I'm supposed to get them the letter, by email, text, snail mail, and he said he'll ask and get back to me. After a few hours and not hearing anything, I send the contractor a text saying I'm agreeing to their blackmail, but would like to iron out the details. I get a text back saying that once I remove all social media reviews and email them a letter saying I did so and will not repost them, they'll mail my refund. The following day, I get a call from the owner to verify my address, even though they've been here 4 times, and to verify the amount of the refund. I wasn't at my desk, so I said I'd have to check, and he said he found my paperwork and he'll write the check for $671.10. Okay, I only asked for about $500. I then decided to tell them if they want to try to be the bully bad guy, do it right. I originally agreed to take down all the reviews, but you demanded I only take them down from social media sites, so the review on Google, Angie's List, and any other site that isn't a social media site will be going back up. As well as for trying to make me take them down, I'll be posting it on more sites than I did before. I also let him know I initially only asked for a portion of the refund, but I'm happy to take the whole thing now that he agreed to send it to me. I also let him know I initially only asked for a portion of the refund, but I'm happy to take the whole thing now that he agreed to send it to me. Check should be arriving in the mail today. So they wanted to forbid you from reposting the reviews. Guess it'd be easy for someone else to post about your experience on your behalf. Then you didn't repost anything. You simply vented to family or friend, and they found it interesting enough to post the reviews. And our second story. When shipping costs more than the item itself. In 2019, my wife and I welcomed our first child into the world, and as a baby shower gift, my father, who lives on the other side of the country, wanted to buy us a crib. Obviously, the easiest way to do this was to order from Amazon, so that's what he did. Total came out to something like $650 plus free shipping. Now, my wife and I were the ones to select which crib we wanted, and my father had no issue with the price. My dad orders it from his account, shipped to my address, so the crib shows up, they drop it at the base of our driveway, and we have about 15 steps up to our front door. That box is heavy. probably handy of 500 pounds, and it just hit me, and it's just me and my pregnant wife, so me, but we get it in and we spend a day building it and go on with our lives. But as ads do what ads do, my phone was bombarded with ads for cribs, including the one my father just bought us less than 2 weeks ago. And surprise, surprise, it's gone on sale for $430. So I contact Amazon, let them know what's going on, and ask if they have a 30-day price guarantee. I figured there was no reason to tell my dad he could have saved $220 if he wasn't able to get the money back. Now, because it was over $200, they couldn't just do a refund, but said that we could return the crib and order a new one. Unfortunately, we've already built the crib and can't return it, so they told us order a new one. When that crib comes in, return the old one and get the refund. I made sure to ask about return shipping, and they said that'd be covered as the item has free shipping, and I saved the transcript of our conversation. So that's what we start to do. I contact my dad, he puts a new order in, and we wait for the box to arrive. Similar situation, heavy box left at the edge of my driveway, but this time the weather was pretty crappy and the box got ruined. I took photos of it sitting at the curb and then moved it inside. I let my dad know, and he contacts Amazon and then gets an email providing the return address and instructions on how to return, including a blank affix postage here spot on the label. Back to talking to Amazon support, and they're very sorry and look into it. Apparently shipping on this crib is like $350. I'm sitting here with 2 cribs and proof that Amazon said they'd cover the return shipping, so like $1,050 in shipping, all for what amounts to a $430 crib. So they told us to keep it and refunded the original purchase of $650. My sister lived a few hours from me, and her husband were looking at starting to try for kids, so she got herself a crib as a baby shower gift from my dad too. Does it look like I work at the vets? Cast. Me, Lady, Lexi. This happened just a few hours ago. I made an appointment for my cat today to get her first round of shots and for her yearly exam. I made the appointment for later in the day in case I ran late with the shipment, and I did end up running late. In my rush, I completely left my mask in my work bag and could not enter the vet's office. Thankfully, they had curbside service and could still get my cat her shots. I call the vet, they take in my cat and tell me that it's going to be a few minutes. Cool beans. In the meantime, I'm deciding between a podcast or my audiobook. I go with my audiobook, The Queen's Vow. So far, it's super good. Anyway, as I'm turning on my audiobook, I get a rap tap on my window. I jump and turn to see this lady standing near my car. I only put my window down just a little bit, give myself and this lady some protection between us. Lady, excuse me, I need to board my dog here. I'll be back on the 15th. Me. Okay, good for you. What's that have to do with the tea in China? Lady, I saw you drop off that dog. Whatever it was, I need to drop off my dog. Me, I heard you the first time. Does it look like I work here? Just note the vet staff wear scrubs. I was wearing a Journey t-shirt and leggings. Lady, I don't care if you're off. I saw Lexi, one of the staff, get that cage from the back of your car. Me, first off, that was my cat. She's getting her yearly. Also, I do not work here. I put up my window and turn on my audiobook. The lady bangs on my window. I ignore her. Eventually, she walks away. Okay, that's the end of that. Of course, that, as we know, it's never the end. About 20 minutes pass, the vet tech comes out with Kitty in the cage, complaining loudly as the tech is putting her in the car. The tech tells me she's perfectly healthy and did great for her shots. Then the same lady as before comes up to the vet tech ranting and raving about how I won't come and get her dog. I heard the vet tech say, Lexi, the vet tech, she's a client here, ma'am. She and her pets have been clients since 2011. Lady, I don't care. Someone has to take my dog. I'm leaving tonight. Lexi, okay, I'm going to go and check and see if you have a reservation for your dog. Lady, I'm a loyal customer. I don't need a reservation. At this point, I look at Lexi and see if I can go, and my cat at this point is letting out profanities in kitty language. Lexi just nods, and I carefully pull out of the parking lot. I don't know what happened after that, but I feel sorry for Lexi. But Kitty's doing well and is currently eating her dinner. Who doesn't ensure they have accommodation for their pet before the day they leave? What a butt. I hope they had space for her dog. Sounds like it could use a break. And our last story. This is what happens when you play Minecraft in real life without a permit. This all starts with what can only be described as a Cold War-era tension between my dad and our next-door neighbor, a woman we'll call Margaret, who takes suburban lines very seriously. I mean invisible, imaginary, never officially marked kind of lines. The issue? Our trash bags were allegedly encroaching on her precious patch of front lawn, which, by the way, is technically city property past the gate. But sure, go off. To mark this imaginary DMZ, my dad, an engineer with the patience of a saint and the stubbornness of a mule, built a small 2-foot concrete boundary wall. Nothing crazy, just enough to say, this far and no further, Karen. Think of it as the Berlin Wall of lawn disputes. Things went quiet for a few years, no drama, no your grass clippings are touching my tulips sort of nonsense. Then one fine morning during breakfast, while we were casually munching toast in the dining room, we heard an aggressive thwack, thwack, thwack sound. You know, the sound of someone slapping bricks together like they're trying to reenact a Minecraft speedrun? We look outside and Margaret's decided she's building a wall. Not just a decorative fence, a wall, 7-foot-high concrete beast directly along the shared side of our house, all of 60 feet long. The thing was practically pressed up against our dining room wall. Now, our house isn't new. That dining room wall is old enough to have seen Y2K and not flinched, but it's still structurally sound. Unless, of course, some genius starts stacking 1,000 pounds of fresh concrete next to it with zero clearance. Here's the thing. Dad oversaw our house's construction. He knows the rules. Still, he consults his best friend, who happens to be a lawyer, and checks with the Homeowners Association engineers, and boom, just like we suspected, anything over 6 feet tall needs a permit. If you don't have one, you pay a fine and knock it down. So Dad strolls over and knocks politely. The neighbor's son answers. Show guy, respectful. Dad asks, "Hey, just checking, do you guys have a permit for the wall?" Son blinks. I'll ask my mom. Enter Margaret, already cranky. Dad repeats the question. "Hi there, I was just wondering, do you have a permit for that wall?" Margaret says, "No, we don't need one." Dad, in his polite, unbothered tone, says, "Actually, you do. Anything over 6 feet needs one. Just wanted to let you know before someone else brings it up." Then he walks away. No threats, just a friendly FYI wrapped in the softest velvet glove. Fast forward a month, still no permit, still no silence. The construction racket is relentless. So this time, Dad brings a recorder. Not because he's petty. Okay, maybe a little. But because the lawyer said verbal abuse from the neighbor could be used if things went sideways. He knocks again, son answers, same confusion. Margaret storms out like an angry goose. Dad, just checking in, still no permit? Margaret, get off my property. I'll sue you for invading my privacy. Dad leaves, calm as ever. 2 weeks later, Dad shows up again, this time with a HOA engineer. From inside the house, I hear it go down. Dad, polite. So just confirming, no permit? Margaret, screaming like she's auditioning for a soap opera. Of course not. We don't need one. Dad, cool as ice. Then you won't mind if the HOA engineer has a look? And that's when me and my mom, eavesdropping from the kitchen, both let out little snorts of joy. You just knew this was about to get good. The engineer steps in, measures, confirms it's over 6 feet, and just shakes his head. He's seen this before. Margaret's told very clearly, no permit, no wall, and unless she wants to pay an even bigger fine, she better start tearing it down. A few days later, the symphony begins. Clank, smash, crack, the wall comes tumbling down block by block. We never even had to use the recording. The sound of concrete being demolished was music enough. Margaret never did rebuild it, or speak to us directly again for that matter. She spent who knows how much time and money on a pointless wall only to have it insta-demolished. From now on, over 6 feet, permit first should be the new neighborhood catchphrase, and Margaret can get comfy watching the grass because that boundary line isn't moving again. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.